Today we're going to talk about the number one fattest country in the entire world. Can you guess what it is? Go ahead and comment down below. We're talking about 94.5% either overweight or obese, with an average weight of 225 pounds per person. And on top of it, this country has the highest rate of diabetes of any other country. It's one of the small islands in the South Pacific. It's called Nauru, but it's a very tiny country. It has a population of 11,000. Now, what happened in 1975, there was this huge boom with this mineral called phosphate, and this country became one of the richest countries in the world in a short period of time. And so they had a lot of money, they had a lot of cars, a lot of buildings, and of course, with that came corruption, until the point where all of this mineral was completely gone. It was depleted from the land, and this country went into a deep poverty state where it's remained ever since. Now the question is, what happened to bring this obesity rate from 2% up to, I think it's like 61%? We do know they went from their traditional foods to westernized processed food, if you want to call it that. Traditionally, they ate a lot of fish, they had coconuts, fruits, they had vegetables, they had taro root, but they didn't eat much grain or seed oil. They had palm oil and coconut oil, but they made the shift to more grains, processed grains, what we call ultra-processed foods, which also include highly refined seed oils. And so some people might blame this on inactivity. That may be part of it. And other people will say it's more sodium or more saturated fat. And that's not really the root cause of this obesity problem or diabetes. So here you have this culture that can no longer grow anything on their soils because it's been depleted. So you can't have a garden. 40% of the marine life has been destroyed from pollution. Nearly 100% of the food is imported. They have to import the water, which is expensive. It's actually more expensive than soda. They started seeing obesity start at 15 months old. And so if we take a look at the guts or the basic building blocks of ultra-processed food, we have mainly three major ingredients, okay? We have artificial starches and these synthetic sugars as well, as in corn syrup or glucose syrup. The definition of ultra means extreme. Process means you're changing something into something else, and you've taken every bit of life out of that food. It's not a food. The definition of food is something to nourish the body, to give us energy. How can you do that with these ingredients? And then we also have these highly inflammatory seed oils. I mean, seed oils are a highly reactive, not very stable fat that can now sit on the shelf for a long period of time. How can it do that? Because it's dead, but it's oxidized. And so when it goes in your body, it can create a lot of problems. I'm talking about insulin resistance. I'm talking about obesity on a very large scale. In fact, seed oils are really the only trending item that parallels obesity, even more than sugar. Sugar actually has come down, but seed oils have gone straight up in vertical. You know, when people talk about ultra-processed foods, they talk about, oh yeah, it's filled with saturated fats. I mean, they might put some saturated fats in there, like palm oil, and that's also processed as well, but that has a lot less amount of this omega-6 oil. I think if I'm not mistaken, it's like 10% of this omega-6 compared to the others that are just completely filled with it. And so what gets people is that when they read the label, they don't really understand what these things are. So they don't read labels, but the starches would be called like modified food starch or modified corn starch or maltodextrin. The sugars would be corn syrup or glucose syrup. And the synthetic seed oils would be, of course, corn, canola, or cottonseed, or safflower, or soy oil. Now, I have a personal friend that has just visited these islands, and they gave me a lot of information about this topic.
They're just filling the shelves with these oils, but not just that. They are also in these other foods.
And so they create a lot of damage, including nutritional deficiencies, as well as creating more hunger. So it's going to make you want to eat and eat and eat, but never really be satisfied because there's not enough nutrients in there to turn off the brain. So it's just a constant hunger and a constant inflammatory state. It just must be miserable. Ultra processed foods should come with a black box warning that they put on certain medications to warn people against the serious side effects. I mean, the side effects from ultra processed food are worse than some of the drugs. It should basically say ultra processed, maybe food like stuff with a black box warning so people know what's going to happen if they eat that. That is not the solution. The solution starts with education on the basic foods that really fit this definition of the word food out of the dictionary. And if you want that information, I put it in a video right here. Check it out.